do or don't really quickly. And the other thing you need to talk about is what's called listing distribution partners. Now, this material is available also on the internet, and I'm going to show you how to find it. But this is where all of our listings go. It's where all of our Century 21 listings go. There's over 500 different websites. And one of the things that you want to do is probably hold open houses. Whether or not, first of all, I've sold homes because I did an open house. Right? I did an open house. Somebody that was visiting a friend saw the sign. They weren't looking in the area. The house had been on the market for months. Nothing was happening. They stopped by to look at it because I was doing an open house. They bought the house. Right? So it's true that the odds aren't great necessarily that we're going to sell that house, but we sometimes sell that house. Again, more buyers, more likely to find the buyer for whom the house fits. That person will pay more. Now, if you have an open house, you want to have signs that, has Sandra talked about open houses? All right. But you ought to have signs, right, up. You ought to put it in the multiple listing service, and you ought to put it on Century 21 online, 221 online, and that's called enhancing a listing, and I'll show you a little bit about how to do that in a minute. But that's what I'm going to do. The next session that I do, I'm going to go in detail through what's called Listing Central, which is where you can enhance a listing on 21 online. And one of the things that it does is it sticks the open house into openhouse.com, which is the biggest open house site, the highest ranked open house site, and you can list your house there for free. All you have to do is log in to 21 online, and there's a thing called Listing Central. If you have a listing and you log into 21 online, at the top right it'll say My Listings, and you click on it, and your listing or listings will be there, and you click on it and it opens up Listing Central. And what you ought to do, because when we, which oftentimes means me, puts the listing into Century 21, we put in the minimum amount of information necessary to get it into the system. But there's a whole lot of other stuff you could add, right? Then and including this, and it happens automatically. It gets uploaded to openhouse.com. Automatically, it's uploaded, and it remains there until it's over. So you want to put it in the multiple listing service, because we have mlslistings.com, which is our local web page. But you also want to do this, right? Because this is actually better publicity for an open house than just putting it in the MLS. Other things you would want to do on your seller checklist is talk about the listing and sale process. Explain to them a little bit about how it works. What should they do when an offer comes in? What is the relationship between you? You should tell them that the agents with other companies do not work for them. You should tell them. Even other Century 21s don't work for them. Technically, agents in our office do, but they don't really, right? If one of our agents has a buyer, they're representing the buyer, right? You understand? And so they should engage in as little conversation as possible. Don't consort with the enemy. Isn't that the idea? No offers, now what? You should meet with them. What I want to talk about is you should meet with them on a regular basis. You should make arrangements on your first, as part of this checklist, you should set up another appointment, right? Where we're gonna meet in 4 weeks, unless it's sold, right? We'll meet in 4 weeks and we'll have a discussion. And I like to set an appointment to meet with you in 4 weeks to assess our performance during the first month of listing. By then we should know how the market is responding to the price and if there are other things we can do to make the house more sellable. Prepare them for the possibility of a price reduction. The way I always used to talk about pricing with clients is that it was a strategy. Pricing is a strategy. People change their price all the time, right? Retailers, they have sales, right? Sometimes it's more expensive, sometimes it's less expensive. It depends on if Pepsi's having a sale, then Coke will have a sale, right? You know, and so it's not a firm thing, right? You understand? It's not an absolute concept. Seller's remorse. Sometimes people feel after they've listed the home that they made a mistake. They don't want to sell, right? They don't want you to sell it, right? You know, and that this is a big important decision. This is the biggest asset they probably own, one of the biggest decisions they've made, and you should, if you warn them, in communication theory, this is called inoculation. Right, just like in a disease, right? They give you a little bit of the disease, isn't that right? And then that builds up a resistance to the disease, and then when the real disease comes by, they have a resistance to it, and so you can sort of inoculate them by saying this often happens. It's normal. Don't worry about it, right? Call me. We'll talk about it. Sellers remote, their choice of company, wake up feeling, that's normal. That's what I said. There's selling your home. This is just some words. What I found was it's always good to, if you don't know what to say, to memorize some things to say until you can figure out what to say for yourself. And that's something that you might want to say. There's a second kind of seller's remorse. What if they get a full price offer the next day? All right. Now, some people would say, I would go through this with people, and some people would say, good. What do you think other people might think?
I'm not ready.
Or they listed it too low. Right? Because we got an offer right away. Oftentimes the first offer is the best offer. The buyer who's poised, who's got an agent, who's looking all the time, who rushes over. Isn't that what you would say if you had a buyer client, and you saw a good deal on the market? You'd call them up and say, we better move quickly to get this one. Let's go. And they rush and they make an offer. And I've seen sellers turn down that offer, raise the price, because they figure, and they never got an offer anywhere close to that ever again. And they ended up selling it for less. You should explain to them that this isn't a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that they listed too low. It means that the buyer for whom the house fits was paying really good attention, found it, and came and bought it, right? The longer it's on the market, what is that? Does the house get sort of a reputation? Sometimes people will call up and say, how long has the home been on the market? And you say, 4 months. Thank you, right? Because they're thinking, well, all those people who looked at it couldn't all be wrong, could they? Who wants leftovers, right? Who wants leftovers, right? Other people will call up and say, I only want to see homes that have been on the market for 4 months or more. Why? So they can lowball the offer, right? These people are going to be desperate, right? So you need to talk to them about that because, right, you understand either of those things could make remorse. You should set the next appointment, variety of purposes, go through the checklist, ask if they have any other questions. Now, what to tell them about the weeks after they list, the market and the competition. These are just some things to discuss, right? What you want to do is to be looking at what's happening in the MLS. Are the average days on market getting longer or shorter? Are prices going up? Are they going down? Are interest rates going up or going down? If you don't know about these things, you ought to find out so that you could talk to them, right? You need to communicate with them at least once a week. At least once a week, right? And if you don't, if you go 3 or 4 weeks without talking to them, you're going to have, it gets harder. The longer it goes, it's harder, right? Because you figure they're going to be mad at you or something like that. Other things to discuss, these are just pretty much things, right? You need to have something to talk about. One of the things that you need to do is set up in the MLS so that when anything happens around your listing, you get an email. I had a listing up in Silver Creek, and it's going along, and I get a phone call from the owner. His name is John, and he said, so tell me about it. And I'm like, what? He said, well, across the street, there's a for sale sign. Just went up this morning. And I said, John, I was just going to call you. I'm with a client right now. right? And as soon as I'm done, I was, of course, I ran to the computer, right? You know, found the listing, called him back and talked to him about it, right? So a few months go by, he calls me up and he said, "What happened?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "The sign's gone." I was just getting ready. I'm with my mom's on the phone, and so you understand. You need to. Should you tell them, "Hey, you're going to see a sign across the street. I want you to know what it's going to be." Right. So you need to set them. You could set them up, right, so that they get the email. But at least you know, you might want to just set yourself up because you want to have some reason that you could call and talk to them, right, about what's going on. And again, the comments and things from the showings, you should be up on what's happening in the mortgage market. You should relay feedback about what they liked and didn't like. You saw my little form that I made. I'll show you if you weren't here. And there's different methods of staying in touch. One of the things you need to do is keep a phone log. And by the way, one of the things that I've done, we have copies of phone logs and you can write on them and do all of that. Another thing that I've done sometimes is that Google Forms, I created one for myself for the property. And it basically is an input form. So, and it had the address of the property and it had just the paragraph. And every time I would talk to them, I would type in what we talked about and hit submit. And what it does is it timestamps it and puts it in my spreadsheet. And I can print it out. That's for the technical people, right? That don't want paper forms that you carry around, right? You could access this on a smartphone or a tablet PC, right? But you understand that it's a good way to get the seller to put in the information about the people that showed it. It's a good way for you to put in information about what's going on to create an online log, which eventually is a spreadsheet that you could print out and show to people. Because sometimes you're going to argue, they're going to say, "You never called us," you know, and you could say, "Well, I called you at 11:15, I called you at 2:30, that was 2 days ago," you know, that sort of thing. You should always try to be the one who initiates the contact. Right? Rather, don't wait for them to call you and complain.
How do you find out if a neighbor have a house put onto the list?
What you do is you go to the multiple listing service and you set up a auto email.
Auto email
Right.
or send zip code?
Well, what I would do is, let me see if I'm, what I would do, we might as well do that. Where's my, all right. I don't know if I've cleaned this out, but this will take me a while. Let's see. Come on. So what I usually do is I put in the address of the property in the map search. And then, and you want everything, 2 stories, 1 story, everything, because they'll call you. And then the fact that they have a 1-story, 3-bedroom doesn't mean they're not going to call you when a 2-story, 5-bedroom goes on the market. They just want to know. Because a lot of them remember when they bought it, what the difference was between theirs and the bigger models, right? And so they're going to want to know. So it's real simple. You, okay, I've cleaned this one out. Maybe, does it remember? Okay. Wow.
I'm stuck here. Since yesterday.
I can't log in right now.
No, you can cancel. You don't have to change your password now.
No, no, I can't log in right now. I don't have this computer set up for my passwords. But all you have to do is create a proximity. You put in you go down to where it says map search, and you make a radius out, make a big circle around the property, and you save that, and you create auto emails. You make yourself a contact, and you set up auto emails so that you get it. But anyhow,
Matrix search.
Matrix,
No,
you can do that. You can do it with either of them. Not RPR. You can do it with either Pro or Matrix. Managing your service schedule. One of the things that I wanted to do is I want to cover a couple of other things before we do this. One of the things I want to talk about is something called the golden ruler. That sounds weird, doesn't it? So what the golden ruler is, it's with Century 21. So where would you find it, right? This is 21 Online. Now up here it says your listings, but you go down here and just scroll down here. You keep going till it says golden ruler. I'll bet nobody's talked to you about this before. Yeah, I always win that bet. Nobody ever bets me. So you click on golden ruler and you... Now, because I'm a manager, I have... my screen will look a little different than yours. What e-marketing is, and I've printed out, I have copies, they're over there. I have like 50 copies. But this is something that you can put into a listing presentation, right? This will print out as a PDF. And it shows that our listings are distributed over 500 different websites. And if you want to click here, it talks about websites. And this talks a little bit more about a lot of the big ones, and you can go through that. And inventory, but let's go to reports. And what I want to do is, let me start with inventory. What I was going to pick on, why don't I just pick on this one, all right? This is one of our listings. It has the MLS number. Property page, if I click on that, it's going to take me to the 21 Online page. And our century21.com showing what they have online about the property, right? With the pictures, the description, school data, demographic information, local weather, right? All this stuff. It takes people to century21.com, so that may not be where you want them to go. What happened to the golden ruler? Did I mess that up already? Golden ruler, golden ruler, golden ruler. All right, back here. Let me go back down. Can't believe I messed that up. Let's see, golden ruler. But I'll show you what this has to do with what we're talking about. And so our listings are distributed to 500 different websites. Some of them are the big ones, but virtually every place you look. I thought I just clicked on this. All right.
Like from your experience, when people call the agents, if there's two agents as a team, would that be more attractive than zero?
It varies. Yeah, I don't. The team sometimes yes, sometimes no. Either some people think that you get two for the price of one. Some people just don't care, right? But it's not opening up golden ruler. All right, let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that and that, and see why it's not opening up my golden ruler.
Golden ruler is under century21online.com.
21 Online, yes. What it's going to do, and I'll just show you one because I don't know, what it's going to do. Let me pick this one. Notice this is a property report, but look at this, seller email. First I'll look at, I'll take a seller email. So what I would do, if you would do this obviously for their listing, right? And you type in the seller's name and email address, and what we're going to do is click on preview, and even though it doesn't look like it, down here it creates a report that you can send to the seller that shows the metrics. How many people, well, let's take a look at this. Zillow, 806 people have looked at it on Zillow. 376 people have looked at it on century21.com, 11 on realtor.com. Hot pads, there's a total of 1,221 views so far, right? And it shows the views in the last 4 weeks. It also gives you the breakdown of where people were when they looked at it, right? Are they from around here or not? And it also says your listings are displayed on all these other things. So this, and notice it's created an email that you can send to them. It shows where it's all gone, right? I mean, where it gives you that feedback. All right. Does that make right? And if you have trouble with this, I mean, first of all, you ought to tell them that it's going to go into 500 different websites, and then that gives you a report that you can give to people. Now, one of the other things that I would suggest that you do is create an alert. So Google Alerts, I created an alert. Oops, I didn't want to do this right now. Now, what we would do is you go to Google Alerts, you put in the address of the property. What you want to do is copy the address as it appears in the multiple listing service, because that's often how it's fed out. First of all, that's how we put it into Century 21 and they feed it out. But that's where they're called aggregators, that's where they get it. So you put in the address. And what it will do is it'll give you everything once a day, and it'll send it by email to you. Or I've set it up, I use what's called Google Reader, which is an RSS reader. And I created one for a listing right here, and I haven't gotten any yet because I just did that. But what's going to happen, and I know I have way too many, you'll either do it by email or you could do it in the reader. But what Google will be doing, it'll be taking the address of your listing and searching all the time everywhere. Do you think sellers want to know when it appears on Zillow so they can go look at it? Right? Well, you could log into Zillow every day and check, or you could create a Google alert and you'll get an email when it's in Zillow. Would you like to know if other agents have put it on their website? Sometimes they're not supposed to, right? And sometimes they're not supposed to because they've stripped out information that they're not supposed to take out. So Google Alerts, this isn't just a Google class today, but you want to use Google Documents to create a form so you can get information about the people that have showed it, and maybe to create a phone log, you want to create a Google alert on the address. And then there's one other thing that I'm going to show you. This is my last bonus tip. After that, you have to pay. All right, you're going to $5. I want $5, and it's a program called Postlets. Postlets.com, and I've got a Postlets account. You would want one. It's free, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. And so I'm just going to pick one that I've already created in the past. And so let me pick this one, and it's, maybe this one's, let me create a new one. All right, I'll create a new Postlet. So it's going to have contact information. You'd put in your information. You put in your email address. You can put in your company. You can make it anonymous if you want. There's a link where you click on category, residential, street. Here, I put this one, Rose Avenue. This is somebody else's listing. I put in the city. It's probably in California. And the zip code is 95127, and the metropolitan area, I don't know why they really care about this, but the closest one we have is the San Francisco Bay Area. You may not like that, but it doesn't really matter. All right, and so that's what I'm sorry, but it doesn't really matter. And so you have to put in their special code so that they know you're somewhat human, 376. And you hit.
I don't see that has any meaning at all. It's very annoying
What?
to enter those phone
Well,
number.
it keeps robots from doing it. All right.
Oh, someone tried to break the system. I
Yeah.
see.
All right. So, and I don't know what happened to it. Maybe because I didn't do that right. All right.
So this is zero.
It is. Zillow just bought them. Right? Just recently bought them.
With Biden to take over.
The world. They're taking over the world. All right. And so we've got the address here.
The
So-
number you just showed, the previous one, you can see people go to zero.
Yes, people go to Zillow. That's why all of our listings are there. And 0. 4.
4842.
All right, and then we hit continue. And hopefully it doesn't mind that I'm using Chrome. All right, property type. Notice what it's already done. First of all, it was doing this before Zillow bought it. It already knows something about this property because of the address. Right? I haven't told it that it's a condo, but guess what? It's a condo. Right? I didn't tell them that. If I want to put the MLS number, I can. It's not going to be displayed. It knows what the year built was. Right? Now, you should look at this and notice there's a Zillow estimate. I don't know what the listing price is. I'm not really going to do this. But I can put in a subtitle. And by the way, you want to put in your DRE number someplace here. Let's say we hit continue. So you want to look at this. And then notice it gives me all these different boxes I can check. I could put in special features, a description of the property. I could add a virtual tour. I could embed in a video. I have to pay for that. If I have a single property website, I would put it in here. I hit continue, and I upload pictures. Right? You can have 6 for free. If you pay, you can have more. And what it does is it gives me this stuff, and I keep hitting continue. And now what it's going to do is it gives me some choice as to what look I want in terms of colors and things like that. And notice what it's going to do. It's going to post it in all those places also. It doesn't hurt. And this code right down here, posting on Craigslist. One of the things not included in our 500 websites is Craigslist. The reason is because Craigslist has lots of problems. Fraud and lots of problems. But they also have lots of traffic, right? And so what you do is you notice it's already copied for you. You go to Craigslist, you click on this, it takes you right to Craigslist, right to the spot where you want to be. You have to have an account with Craigslist. This is free. And when you paste this in, it creates a cool looking, colorful pictures image ad in Craigslist immediately for you, for free. Okay. Now, you understand it's taking me right to Craigslist where I could log in. The reality is, and by the way, this makes a nice looking single property website. You can practice on one of our company listings if you want, right? Because you could do this on any of our company listings. You could do it on your listing, but it makes a nice looking single property website as well. I mean, it's got all the pictures, it's got your links, it's got your email, it's got your phone number. You could have a YouTube tour.
So you need to pay, but
No, you don't.
you don't even have to pay.
You don't have to pay for YouTube either. Right? We
Pay 6 pictures.
6 pictures. They don't. Yeah, you can only have 6 pictures if you pay Postlets. Let's say you had a whole bunch of listings. It might be worth it for you to upgrade, but 6 pictures. That's your limit, right? But you get to pick a bunch of different colors and different layouts, all for free, right? And it makes a nice looking, trust me, single property website. And without you having to do anything, plus it makes the code that you could put directly into Craigslist. right? And if you create, it gives you a URL for this Postlets page. And if you went and bought a domain, let's say the 123 Greenwood Drive, San Jose, you bought that domain, you could point it to it and you have a single property website without having to do anything, except for spend a few minutes filling it out.
Oh. So this is the house for sale, right?
Right.
I have a one listing is commercial.
You can do commercial too.
Too.
Commercial's a choice.
As for lease.
Well, I didn't go through the list of them, but there's I don't know. I think it has that. I think it includes rental properties, and it does commercial. It does both, because Craigslist is used a lot for rental properties, including commercial. It'll do all those things. All right. So that's my. Let me see if any of my existing Postlets are still up and running. Let's see. All right. This is an example of what one looks like. Okay. Right. That's an example. And there's ads here that they're running because they're trying to make money. Do you want the ads to go away? Get out your credit card and pay them. Right. And upgrade. And then there's no more ads. But do you understand what I'm saying is that this looks like it's got a map. It's got other information. That, as a single property website, wouldn't be bad, right? And you see up here, that's where it goes to. That's a link that goes directly to that page. And so I've showed you how for free to create a single property website, how to advertise it on Craigslist, how to create feedback forms for people that show their property. It's worth $5, isn't it? No. $20. Do I hear 30? All right. So that's it. And some of this stuff I'm gonna post on our website for you to tomorrow.
So my question though, with all this free stuff, right? Would one day MLS listing be useless?
Well, will MLS listings be useless? I don't know. First of all, the MLS listings, the database that real estate agents has is Zillow doesn't list any homes. They depend upon the multiple listing service fees. And right now, people have been saying the demise. People said that there won't be 10 years ago, they were saying there'd be no more loan agents, right? There's still loan agents, right? Because a lot of those lenders just online didn't work.
Did you see Postnet just did, I think Zillow did not have the input media. Postnet is their input media.
Well, what Zillow was doing is just taking stuff from the multiple listing service,
Right.
but Century 21 input stuff directly in. All right. Well, was that enough?
Yeah,
Was that enough? Are you all happy?
very happy.
All right.
Good.
Well, then we're done then. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Besides Postnet, do you know any other free stuff?